Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Know and Grow podcast. Today, we are very happy to have Riddhika ji Bhandari with us. As much as I want to give her introduction and let you know what she does, which is actually very inspiring and motivating, I would first want to welcome Riddhika ji. Riddhika ji, thank you so much for joining us in the podcast and accepting our invite. We are very thankful to you for joining us.
Thank you so much. I am actually feeling very pleasured and very happy to have here to be here on board with you guys. I'm super happy to do this podcast with you all.
Thank you so much. So, Riddhika ji is from Ahmedabad, and she works with a lot of women and works for women empowerment. But I would not want to give her introduction. I would really want Riddhika ji to tell what all she does. One of the major things that she does is her NGO Upran. That we'll talk about later, Riddhika ji. But before that, what else? What have you studied? What do you do? I see a long list of you doing beautiful things.
So the journey began with finding myself and not knowing myself what I want to do in career. It began with. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, me taking biology in my 11th standard and was thinking to become a doctor. And aiming to doctor, I chose biology, studied for 2 years, appeared for the exam and could not clear it. Now, with the marks that I got, I took Bachelor's of Pharmacy as my bachelor's degree, as my undergrad, and started studying in Indore. That's where the journey of finding myself and where I truly belong began. I was parallelly doing a lot of volunteering work in social sector with UNICEF and various other organizations as a volunteer and contributing in society with when it comes to serving people or helping people. We were volunteering for a lot of cause. And that's where in the second year of my pharmacy, studying my pharmacy, I realized maybe there's something more that I want to know, what I want to do, and what I want to study. Because pharmacy is for sure I'm not happy studying. That kind of realization while being on ground at grassroots, I realized I would want to pursue this, and if I want to explore the kind of how a social work can become profession, I would want to pursue it further and explore my opportunities. That's where I began my diploma from Tata Institute of Social Science Mumbai in social work, and how I realized not just social work is not just a hobby or something you feel pleasure by doing. It's actually a profession that should be followed and should be done in a particular way. Further going after completing my diploma, further going ahead, I studied that question was always inside of what is the longer impact, whether charity or when it comes to one step ahead than charity, then making self-reliant, making someone empowered enough and self-reliant. That's where I began exploring this question. Again, I began exploring what more should be studied. That's when I studied my master's in social entrepreneurship, which is called PGDM in development sector. And I ended up in EDII, Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India. After that, I've been serving in social sector. Since then, the journey has been ongoing, whether it comes to consulting on NGOs or having my own Upran Foundation.
Okay, that's really wonderful. Talking about Upran Foundation, before we actually talk about Upran Foundation, I would really want to know what was that one point where you felt like you want to get into social work and you want to actually study social work from biology background to actually studying social work? What was that? Was there any trigger point?
Yes, of course. I was tired of studying those, chemical reactions behind all the pharmaceutical subjects. Was not able to, keep them in my mind. was always confused about organic chemistry and doing pharmaceuticals in the labs. That was surely not me as a personality. So as a student, I was exploring more of my options. Where do I truly belong? And while I was on ground, there were students who were special kids and who were physically special, and we were given an opportunity to write their exams.
Okay.
And to record audio books for people who are not able to see. And that's when I realized if we can make a difference by doing that, we surely can do better.
Oh, right. So that's where you found that you can make some change in the world. Maybe if we can put it that way.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Now let's talk about Uprant's foundation. How did it begin? What does the foundation actually do?
Okay, so Ubrant actually did not begin like any other, organization it starts. It was my journey of exploring slums of India. It was me while I was working with various other NGOs and civil society organizations, and it was COVID-19 that was at peak, and we were serving on ground for people, distributing food kits and various other medicines to the people there living in the slum. It was that moment when I was inside the slum and I saw a few group of women who is worried, who is active and having so much of social violence, domestic violence, and so much of nuisance happening around women. That's when I gathered a few women in the slum and asked, what are they doing? How are they tackling the situation of COVID-19? And that's when I got to know about a profession called rag picker. I started digging more information about these women, and I got to know I myself gave all up and started living in the slum to understand what life of rag picking women looks like. When it comes to when to my surprise, imagine a woman waking up early in the morning, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and sometimes even midnight, 3 o'clock, going around the city with a sack bag at their back, putting anything and everything that she is finding out from the heap of garbage inside that bag. And she is bending at least 10,000 or approximately 10 to 15,000 times to pick up that kachra and putting that up. वो सुबह 3:30-4 बजे उठकर रोड पर से किसी भी प्रकार का कचरा अपने बैग में डाल रही है, हर वो कचरा जिससे वो कुछ कमा सकती है. उसके बाद जब वो रोड पर होती है तो बहुत सारे ड्रंक मैन आसपास होते हैं जो कि शोषण करते हैं उनके साथ में. कई बार गली में कुत्ते होते हैं जो उन्हें काट कर भाग जाते हैं. और इमेजिन वो अपना हाथ किसी भी प्रकार के कचरे में डाल रही है, चाहे वो ह्यूमन एक्सक्रीटा हो, whether it's hospital waste, whether it is household waste, rotten foods, anything and everything, just putting her hands inside. There is health hazards, there are chemicals going inside her body, she's getting exposed to so many things. And top of it, abusive, there are men using abusive language, there's women alone picking the drag. They do not get treated with respect in society. And that's when I actually went, this is all other realization, जब मैं खुद इन महिलाओं के साथ में सुबह जल्दी उठकर voluntarily कचरा उठाने गई. There is always a saying कि जब तक आप कीचड़ में हाथ डालकर नहीं महसूस करते कि कीचड़ में काम करना क्या होता है, तब तक आपको नहीं पता चलेगा how does it feels like to be working there in the mud and कीचड़. Now, it was then I was shocked when I came back, picking up all the rags from the roads. We sat with 1 cup of tea at her house. उसके बाद अपने बच्चों को नहला धुलाकर वो महिला तुरंत वापस काम पे लग गई. वो काम करके आई थी, घर का काम करने लगी, और जैसे बच्चों को स्कूल छोड़ा वो segregation करने बैठे, and segregation is one of the most hazardous process in waste management and in life of rag pickers, I would say. बिकॉज वो प्लास्टिक बॉटल, कागज, मेटल, ग्लास जो कुछ भी उठाकर लाई होती है वो उसको अलग अलग प्रकार में सेग्रीगेट करती है ताकि वो कबाड़ी वाले को बेच सके। कबाड़ी वाले को बेचने जाती है तब उसे ना सही दाम दिया जाता है और ना उसको सही वजन किया जाता है। अगर सही तोला नहीं है तो सही दाम नहीं देंगे, और ऑन द टॉप ऑफ इट एक तो सही दाम नहीं दिया, उसको सम्मान से बात भी नहीं करी। और जब बात सम्मान से बात करने की आती है तब इट कम्स टू ऑल ऑफ अस। क्या हमारे आसपास जितने भी सफाई कर्मचारी हैं या एनीबॉडी हु इज सर्विंग अस इन टर्म्स ऑफ क्लीनिंग place around us and picking our garbage, are we respecting them? Are we respecting them enough as a human? And it all came to me, to my surprise, and that's when the entire idea began. जब COVID-19 में गवर्नमेंट ने, म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन ने, लोकल अथॉरिटीज ने रैग पिकिंग पर रोक लगाई कि सेफ्टी पर्पस से ये करना अभी के लिए अलाउड नहीं है, तब वो सारी बहनें बेरोजगार हो चुकी थी। और इस मोमेंट में कई महिलाओं के फैमिलीज में कई जो पुरुष होते हैं वो और जॉब भी कर रहे होते हैं, वेदर दे आर इनटू लेबोरियस जॉब, वेदर दे आर इनटू अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड सेक्टर, इसी प्रकार के। और कोविड-19 में जब लॉकडाउन लगा तब ये सभी प्रकार के काम रुक चुके थे। अब इस तरह के परिवारों में आमदनी आना जरूरी है आगे का प्रवाह चलने के लिए। हम अगर उनको फूड किट दे देंगे तो वो 2 दिन या 1 हफ्ते में खत्म हो जाएगी, considering the number of members they have in the family. And once you enter these slums, it is so close cluster that 8 से 10 लोग एक कमरे किचन हॉल में रहते हैं। And that's when the idea began, helping them through making something and selling out there. The very next bill was coming, that was Raksha Bandhan, and I decided to call out a lot of volunteers across the city to join the vision and help the sisters in whatever way we can. We decided to train our women to make Rakhis out of waste that they're collecting. And that was the first step towards, engaging our women into something creative. And we made Raksha Bandhan so possible for us that हम लोगों ने राखियां बनाई, and the nearest help that we could get was from government schemes that was going on, and to sell rakhis through many channels that we can help our women earn better livelihood. और उसी वक्त राखी बनाकर उनको बेचा, बहुत सारे स्टॉल्स लगाए, ऑनलाइन मैसेजेस लिखे, सोशल मीडिया का बेस्ट यूज करा, और हमारी बहनों ने लगभग 1 लाख रुपीस की राखी सेल करी। Now imagine a rag picking women making something and selling it out there. Isn't that magical in their life, especially in the time of COVID? And that's when this idea, just one step of helping these women, began to help more women. Now seeing the same women, हम लोगों ने 7 महिलाओं से शुरू किया था। 7 रैग पिकिंग women को हमने कन्विंस किया कि आप कुछ और करके सम्मान का काम करके इससे ज्यादा पैसे कमा सकते हो। और तभी हमने इन्हीं 7 महिलाओं के साथ में एक स्लम में एक हंसाबेन नाम की बहन के आंगन से हमने संस्था के इस आइडिया को रूप दिया था। और धीरे धीरे जैसे ही स्लम की बाकी महिलाओं ने हमको ज्वाइन करना शुरू किया, 6 months down the line, we were on the way of becoming a legal structure and an organization. We named this idea as Ubrand Foundation. And that's when the journey of women from nothing, or from women from slum dwelling or whatever you call, to an artisan card holder and getting benefits from many more schemes. We proudly call them our sisters, and that's what is our journey of empowering women, not just by livelihood, but by providing them various other holistic development opportunities at Uprani.
That's wonderful, Riddhika ji. It's so amazing to hear. But I'm very curious to know, how did you convince these women to join your, the way you wanted कि वो करे कुछ और and they earn a respectable job they do, then how did you convince them?
It was a very, very difficult thing. Not for the women to be convinced, but by the family and the men in the families to be convinced to leave rag picking and join this idea. Why? Because कभी कभी एक कचरा उठाने वाले के हाथ में भी जैकपॉट लग सकता है. कैसे? जब वो कचरा बिकती है ना, तब कभी किसी की घूमी हुई ज्वेलरी, मोबाइल फोन या कुछ ऐसी चीजें, वैल्यूएबल चीजें मिल जाती है जिससे एक मोटा अमाउंट आ सकता है घर में. तो वो किसी प्रकार का एक लालच मन में बैठ जाता है, ऐसा हम कह सकते हैं. दूसरी चीज, जब मैं ऐसा नहीं कहूंगी कि रैग पिकिंग से वो पैसे नहीं कमाती थी या कम कमाती थी. रैग पिकिंग से वो 300 से 500 और कभी कभी 1000 रुपए भी कमाई है एक दिन में, पर कभी भी स्टेबिलिटी नहीं थी.
Correct.
इट वाज ऑलवेज अबाउट स्टेबिलिटी. दूसरी चीज जो उन्हें रियलाइज करानी पड़ी कि सम्मान का काम क्या होता है और क्यों सम्मान जरूरी है, क्यों ना सहना. अगर रोड पे किसी व्यक्ति ने आपको गाली दी है तो उसको नहीं सहना है. ये बात समझना पड़ा उनको. अगर घर में कुछ अच्छा करने के लिए किसी से पूछना पड़ जाए और अपनी भलाई के लिए कुछ डिसीजन लेने के लिए, तो एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म हमें मिले जिससे हम हमारी नहीं हमारी बाकी के फैमिली मेंबर्स की भी लाइफ बदल सकते हैं, तो क्या हमें वो नहीं जोड़ना चाहिए. एंड दैट्स व्हेन द इट्स द स्ट्राइक दैट आप एक बार कॉन्वर्जेशन कम्युनिटी मीटिंग में करो, और जब एक महिला सक्सेसफुल होती है ना, तो उसको देखकर 4 और महिलाएं मोटिवेट होती है. And that's when setting an example of 7 successful women began, the journey of Pran. And those 7 women then again started talking about their journey and inspiring other women in Islam.
So I believe the first step would have been the difficult one, but once there's a success story, then others must have joined it together. While you were talking about
husbands coming onto us, beating, abusing us, saying कि आप तो हमारी महिलाओं को भड़का रहे हो, अब कोई पढ़ी लिखी मैडम बाहर से आ गई हो जो हिंदी भाषी हो. All of this is going to be there. So if you want to help them, go through it all.
Yeah. So when you're talking about, that there is a jackpot someday, they hit a jackpot, I could only think of a psychological theory, how people get addicted to, what do we call that? Casinos mein jaake, what do they do? I'm forgetting the name. Yeah, the gambling. The gambling. That's how people get addicted to gambling, because there's that thought कि अभी jackpot लगेगा, अभी I'll hit the jackpot, अभी I'll hit the jackpot. Probably you'll never hit the jackpot, but just the hope of hitting a jackpot makes you addicted to that thing. I think that's
right.
Yeah, once. Because there's no when will you hit the jackpot? You don't know. Maybe tomorrow, maybe day after, maybe 3 consecutive days, and maybe never. There's no. Yeah, so I could feel how difficult it is for them to leave that, and kudos to you for convincing them to stop doing that and start doing something which is a little more stable and respectable. One other thing that I wanted to ask you, and I was very curious, that you use the term women empowerment. Today in the world of social media, a lot of times we hear about pseudo feminism, women empowerment, people against women empowerment, women against women empowerment, or maybe a lot of organizations working for women empowerment. What is your take on women empowerment?
I would not want to talk कि women empowerment in a way that महिला को ही सशक्त होना पड़ेगा. It's not that. Isn't one as an individual should be able to make their own decision, make their own choices, or maybe to be dream bigger enough and have courage to make that dream come true. That kind of empowerment I dream. I want to talk that kind of empowerment. When it comes to women from underprivileged background or women from privileged background, or to any individual, isn't that a superpower that one must have? And these days, you know, talking about women, empowering women, इतना ज्यादा एक हाइप कर दिया है इस टर्म को, that feminism, then sumo feminism, pseudo feminism, I don't know what all terms have come up, but isn't true power comes, lies behind to be able to dream bigger enough and to be able to fulfill that. That kind of empowerment comes from various other, all together, various other privileges together. Educate yourself well, be exposed, have exposure, go out, learn, to be able to thrive and to be brave enough to achieve something and to have dream actually. That's where I would call empowering.
Amazing. And as much as I want to talk about it, keep talking about it and know a little more about your organization and what all you do and how you do it. We can't keep on going. There's a time limit that we need to end it. But lastly, I would really want to ask you, people like us who are not able to take bigger steps, the ones that you took, what are the smaller steps that in everyday life we can take so that we bring some change, or there's some our what do we say, our contribution in this field? What can we do?
That's such a wonderful question, Chavi. Thanks for asking, and it gives me utmost privilege to talk about it. There are a few points that I always that worked for me at least. I would want to share those here today. Number one is to know yourself. Doesn't I am not asking to know yourself what you like or what you did not like. It's about to know your beliefs, to know your values, and exactly to be self-aware, itna enough to know what you don't want in life. Once you're clear, you're true that you don't want these things in life, you're almost halfway there to know what you exactly want in life. Number two is allow yourself to dream bigger, bigger than you can ever imagine yourself to be. Number three is make your own choices. Be smart enough to understand and make your own choices. Take your decisions and take it with very confidently. As Upadhyay Pravar always, quotes that अगर आप सोचते हैं कि आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते हैं तो आप सही सोचते हैं. That ironical and sarcastical statement motivates that yourself so much that you always think good and highly and positive of yourself. Once you think that high of yourself, you surely can break any barriers. Number three is recognize. The further points are recognize your opportunities. Opportunities that are coming your way, and maybe you can create for yourself. Those opportunities will lead you more higher ways and far fetch, way to go ahead. Second, never compromise. Never compromise on your dreams. When it comes to managing family, work, and yourself, always choose what is the priority at that point of time and then move ahead. Balance everything together and don't allow, there's always someone who will be having problem with your progress, or maybe you will have something to say about what you're doing. Always be focused and be aware of what you are doing until unless it is not harming anybody or anyone. Go ahead, do it for yourself. Never make any compromise when it comes to your dreams.
I really loved how you said, know yourself first. The first point that you mentioned, it brings me back to a lot of scriptures, a lot of texts that I read, a lot of, that talk about कि आपको अगर दूसरों की help करनी है तो पहले खुद की help कर लो. only if when you work on yourself is when you can help others and give something to others. It's खुद का घड़ा भर लो फिर दूसरों में pour करना. It's actually wonderful. I think a lot of times we as youth being impatient हम उल्टा कर लेते हैं, पहले help करने जाते हैं और हम अंदर से ही empty हैं and we feel we can change the world, but it's actually the other way around.
Exactly. There's always learning from your failures. You're always going, when you're doing something bigger, you are going to fail definitely. And there is no success without facing failure. So,
right.
Whenever you're failing, analyze and bounce back with double strategy. Be bold enough, make calculated risk and educated risk enough. And then you dream and be bold enough to make decisions.
I know that this was the last question that we were taking, but as you said, there's one thing that has again come to my mind. Has it happened that you have failed somewhere or you have...
Lot many times.
Would you want to share one of such incidents and how did you come out of it and what did you learn? How did you progress?
So in Uprant only, कभी कभी हम इतने ज्यादा मोटिवेटेड होते हैं, हम ये पूरा का पूरा प्लानिंग करते हैं, प्लॉटिंग करते हैं, बिजनेस प्लान बनाते हैं, मार्केटिंग स्ट्रैटेजी, सेल्स स्ट्रैटेजी, प्रोडक्शन स्ट्रैटेजी, पूरा का पूरा MBA और पूरा का पूरा पढ़ाई जो करके बैठे होते हैं, पूरी थ्योरी को दीवार पर अपने सामने रख देते हैं, पूरी प्लानिंग कर देते हैं, लेकिन हम ये कभी नहीं सोचते कि grassroots reality can be way different than what you have planned on paper, what you might have written in your detailed project, for whatever you call it, your finances, everything apart. But when it comes to the grassroots reality, we work in informal sector. Women there are not that organized enough who will inform you before taking leave. कभी भी उनकी कभी भी फैमिली में इमरजेंसी आ सकती है, कभी भी उनके घर पे गेस्ट आ सकते हैं, उनके बच्चे बीमार हो सकते हैं, बारिश आ गई तो शायद उनके घर में पानी भर सकता है, ज्यादा ठंड हो गई तो बहुत टाइम तक बीमार रह सकती हैं. कमिंग फ्रॉम दैट एरिया ऑफ द सोसाइटी, किसी भी प्रकार के हर्डल्स आ सकते हैं. देयर इज नॉट अ फॉर्मल स्ट्रक्चर जहाँ पे छुट्टी नहीं ले सकते, और ये प्रॉब्लम्स आपकी प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी को इम्पैक्ट कर सकती है. दैट प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी विल इम्पैक्ट द ऑर्डर्स दैट यू हैव टेकन, द सेल्स स्ट्रैटेजी दैट यू हैव, द मार्केटिंग, whatever you might have planned. If you're not connected enough on ground, having that link from one to the last point, बहुत सारी calculative and uncalculative mistakes पढ़े लिखे होने के बावजूद भी करते हैं, और उससे overcome करना is again making more strategies, not just strategies, implement सच्चाई को, रियलिटी को अपने प्लान के साथ में मैच करके स्ट्रैटेजी बनाना. इतने सारे फेलियर्स, कभी उपरांत के प्रपोजल में फेलियर, कभी पर्सनल लाइफ और प्रोफेशनल लाइफ को बैलेंस नहीं कर पाना. Many failures, but there's always one thing. First and foremost, the family has actually supported. Then reading books have been the best thing, as there's one big announcement that we're going to do through the podcast series that we have been doing. The book is coming out, from the production house of Know and Grow. I want to recommend each and every one of you listening to this podcast, go read the book, and honestly, this is going to bring the change in your life. Not revealing anything further, you may reach to the last piece of the podcast and you will find what the book is all about.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And it's been really wonderful talking to you. And as I said, I can keep talking about so many things with you, but we have a time limit. We have to end this. Thank you so much for joining us, Riddhika ji, and we wish you all the best for your Uprant Foundation and its progress. Now that we are also attached to it, we also know a tad bit about how it works. It the success of your organization will make us happy as well. So we wish you the best and thank you so much for joining us. It's been wonderful talking to you.